An alternative to Google Classroom is something called Microsoft Teams. And Microsoft Teams also has a built-in virtual meeting tool called Teams Meetings, and it is terrific. So I'm going to give you a quick introduction to that, and again, probably refer you to the website we've been touting for further trainings and familiarity, and call us if you need more help. But let me show you Microsoft Teams, where to find it and how to use it. Begin from your ClassLink page, of course, and you can tap on Office 365 to enter your Microsoft account. From your landing page, you'll find the purple Teams icon, and that's exactly how your students would get in also. Once you've tapped on Teams, you might see that you belong to some teams. I doubt you'll be surprised, but you might be. These are teams to which I belong, and you'll note that each of them is a specific group, just like it will be when I create a class. I'm going to go up here to join or create a team. Then over here in the left, it says create a team. So that's what we'll do. We're talking about a class, and I can name that class and provide any other follow-up information about it that I might need to have to clarify. Okay, with the name and then next, and it's creating the team. What's really nice about Teams is I can either join my students to it, as I might have done for Google Classroom last year, or I can provide a join code, just like Google Classroom as well. I can also invite teachers to be co-teachers. So if I go to search for students, I'm going to enter the name of a student, and it finds right away this student. So I'm going to go ahead and pop her in there. If it didn't find the student right away, I might be forced to type in the entire address for that student. But it's doing a pretty good job right now, isn't it? Rather than do that, though, my students are old enough for me to go ahead and provide them with a join code. So let me show you how to do that. This, by the way, is the team. In order to join the rest of my students, I'm going to go over here to the title of my class, or rather team now. Tap that and then go to Manage Team. In Manage Team, I'm going to tap on Settings. And under Settings, I'll scroll down to Team Code, where I can generate and then copy a team code. I will share this with my students in a private way, not on my teacher website and school wires, but rather through maybe Aries Communications or direct email. While I'm here in Settings, there's a few other things I'd recommend doing. Of course, you can go through and cosmetically change this in any way you want to, but I'm not going to train on that. Let's go to Member Permissions. This is why we sometimes seek out an alternative to Google Classroom or Google Meet. And so let's see what we can control or not control right now in Teams. Teams, like Google Classroom, is expecting an update in the autumn, and it will also provide us with some more power, and I'll expose you to what those are in just a little bit. So do I want my members to create and update channels? Well, what's a channel? Let's find out. Right here, General is your one channel within this team. What a channel does is it allows you to break up themes. So if I've got a U.S. history class or team, my channels might include different periods of history, or my channels might include different kinds of projects we're working on. My channels might even be collaborative groups, but I can create and design whatever channels I want as a teacher. Do I want my members to be able to create and update channels? I don't think so, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. Allow members to delete and restore channels? Absolutely not. If I'm going to be in charge of channels, I'm the only one who gets to do that. Allow members to add and remove apps. I can add apps to Teams? Yes, I can. I'm going to say that right now, let's leave this as something students can't control, and I'm going to tell you what that is when we return to the main page. Create, update, and remove tabs. We'll talk about what tabs are, but I'm telling you right now, we're going to keep the control in the hands of only the teacher, so do not check that off. Allow members to create, update, and remove connectors. Again, we are not going to be sharing a lot of power, at least not initially. Owners can delete all messages. Yes, I have no problem with owners being able to delete all messages, but do I want members, students, to be able to delete their messages? I think perhaps I can see trouble down the road if I allow members to delete their messages. Why should they delete their messages? If they're saying something they shouldn't and people shouldn't see, then they shouldn't be able to delete them. So I am going to uncheck that. I don't want them to be able to delete their messages. I want to know everything that they're saying. And give members the option to edit their messages along the same lines. Okay, so we're going to remove that. Next, let's look at the @mentions. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And @mentions is a really cool way to draw attention to your message. So students who use @ and then the name of the team will send a notification to everybody in the class. A teacher uses that, could use that all the time. @Mrs. James U.S. History Period 1, your assignment is due at 8:30 tomorrow morning instead of 9 or instead of 8. Do I want to give members the option to do this as well, @channel or @channel name? If I have students working in small collaborative groups and they want to be able to draw attention to something happening in their channel, absolutely. I think that's a really kind of cool way to alert people to something's happening. Down here it says fun stuff. And fun stuff are stickers and memes, and that is entirely up to you. They're fun, and I like them. I would leave them on, but this is where you would turn them off if they become annoying. There is a OneNote class notebook attached to this team, and we're going to show you how to set that up in just a second. And tags, again, tags are a cool way to make sure people can contact each other, so I recommend that as well. Let's see. Trying to see if I can see that adjustment, but it's not letting me. There we go. You can add tags. Owners or students, it's up to you. We'll talk about tags in a little bit. I'm going to leave it as just owners right now. And that's kind of my policy for a better safe than sorry when I don't know what something is or something is new to me. So all my settings have been adjusted. I'm going to go back over here and just tap on General. General is the one channel included with my classroom. General has up at the top tabs, and these tabs are what's automatically included are posts. A post is just a conversation. So in order for me to post something, I go down to the bottom here and start a new conversation. I can do it just right here like welcome, and that's great. Eventually they will see that, but they won't know that that word welcome is there until they actually go into their team. However, if I put @team or hello, and I start typing in the name of the team, I don't have to type the whole thing. I can do this, and now whatever I type here will generate a notification to all the students that there is a new post and that they should come look at it. There's also files. Files are exactly what they sound like, a storage area, sort of your cloud storage for your entire class. Right now we are in the general channel, and so the general stuff goes in here. When we create new channels, each channel will have its own files. Class notebook. Our class notebook needs to be set up the very first time. If you're unfamiliar with what the OneNote class notebook is like, or even just the OneNote notebook that's not intended for classes, I'll give you your 20-second description. It is a digital notebook that is very, very much like any spiral notebook you ever bought at Staples, except those were only 70 pages. Those cost you money, and those were only 8.5 by 11. A class notebook, a OneNote notebook is unlimited by each page, each section can be designed in whatever size and content you want. In a paper notebook, you could just write or maybe tape a photograph, but in a digital notebook, you can include links and video and outlines and templates and all kinds of resources. So I'm a big fan of OneNote. The class notebook is actually set up in a special way. So we're going to go set up a blank notebook, one that is started from scratch. If you already had an existing notebook that you wanted to bring in, you would have chosen this second one. We're going to start with a blank notebook. And specifically, a class notebook has a few special features. Instead of just being that spiral notebook with blank pages throughout, there are certain editing permissions in sections of this notebook. So there is, first of all, a collaboration space where both the teacher and all the students can go in and edit content. It's kind of a free-for-all, but in a class that has had a conversation about proper behavior and what the point is, this can be a really powerful area for brainstorming and project planning. The content library is an area where only the teacher has the power to edit any of the content there. The students can view it, but they cannot edit. This is a great place for teachers to push out resources, outlines, templates, or whatnot. Teacher-only section is a private place where the students cannot view, and teachers can begin getting pages or other subsections ready for their students and then later share them out. The teacher-only section may have, private notes. The teacher-only section is whatever you want it to be. And then student notebooks. This is an area in which each student is provided with sort of a subsection with access to it, and the teacher has access to it. So if I have 32 students, and the first one's name is Adam. Adam and I share a student notebook. I can edit it. He can edit it. He can add things to it and take things out of it. I can add things to it or take things out of it. So that's a general organization of a OneNote class notebook. So we're setting it up right now. And within each of those little sub-student notebooks I talked about, like Adam and I have, I can choose what kind of subsections it has. I can change these names. I want to push out handouts to all my students. I want it to go into their personal handout section. Class notes, homework, of course, quizzes. I'm going to leave those there. I'm also going to add a 5th section for project notes, just because I wanted to show you that you can add a section. You can also rename these if you wish, by the way. Next, I tap Create, and it's creating my notebook right here before my very eyes. This notebook will be accessible from General up here at the top. We're going to skip assignments for right now, even though it's quite important, because I do want to make sure we come over here to the left and we create ourselves some channels. Like I said, channels are going to be whatever you want them to be. You can limit the membership in a channel, and you can keep the membership for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and tap, and then we already saw Manage Team where the settings were. How about Add Channel? This channel is going to be for norms and class behavior. And in here, I can be posting basically what we agree upon, our class rules that we agree upon. The access is going to be for everybody. And I'm going to have this show up in everyone's channel list. So automatically show this channel on everyone's channel list. Yes. And now I'm going to see it right here. I can load up files, and the files in norms and class behavior could be infographics about digital citizenship. It could be a short video about what a good, well-run virtual meeting looks like. We could have a conversation in here on the posts page about what worked and didn't work at our last meeting and how we can improve upon that. I can add as many channels as I want. So again, forgive me, I am a elementary teacher, but geography sounds like it might be something that would be good to have a channel for resources and such, for perhaps maps or references that help with the understanding of U.S. history. And if I want to set up a channel that is only accessible by some of my students, we'll just call this Colab A. This channel will only be accessible right here if I if I click on private. Now, I don't have very many students, so this is something I can't demonstrate in its entirety, but I go next. I can choose my students that belong to this. And if I have co-teachers, I may have one teacher or co-teacher that is in charge of that group. Okay, I'm going to skip this for right now because, again, I don't have students in this group, and I hope this helps illuminate what it means to be able to set up channels in which you'll have posts and files. Earlier, I told you that there are apps and tabs and connectors. Those are 3 words that are all very new to anybody who's never used Google Teams. Right here at the top, if I hit this plus sign, I get to add a tab, and that's just simply going to add something at the top of the screen that I need my students to access. It might just be a website. It might be something I've created in Excel. It might be a PDF that is a reference for them in that particular group, channel. So the tabs are handy. You can name what that tab is. So I'm going to, for Colab A, I'm going to call it, resource. And I'm going to paste a URL right here. Go. I always open the tab I want. If I'm going to add a website, I always open the website and then copy. And here I just paste. That way I make sure it's right. I don't trust myself to type something in perfectly. So copy is Control-C, paste is Control-V, and we're good to go. I'm going to post to the channel about that. That means that there will be a little post, a little thing in the conversation area where they'll know that there's something new at the top, because sometimes people don't notice. So that is handy. And now I have something called resource. It's been added. It's also been noted here in the conversation area. And if a student looks up and goes, oh, there's something else. Nice, huh? Okay, so from general, we were up here and I took a little detour to create some extra channels. Now let's tap on assignments and see what we can do. This is going to be an area that you're probably going to spend quite a bit of time, right? So if you had more than one team, Microsoft team, or if you used it in the past, you might be able to pull existing assignments over. But we're going to create a fresh one. Assignment. And as you can see, just like in Google Classroom, there are a bunch of areas that guide you to how to make your assignment work in this setting. Okay, so I quickly went through and marked off some things to create an assignment. We have a title and, of course, explicit instructions for your students, points, which class to assign it to. It's going to choose this native class. If I had more than one class, it would allow me to assign that to multiple classes, which I should be calling teams, of course. If I want to differentiate and assign this to just some students or all students, I would have that choice here. Due date, due time, exactly as we know. And we want them to post assignments to general, or do we want them to assign post their assignments to, or do I want to post assignment notifications to a different one? I'm going to keep it in general. I like all the assignments to show up in one space. So general is sort of that home page kind of experience. If I'm happy with it, I can just save it and wait to assign it until I'm truly 100% ready. I can discard it if I've decided this is not the direction I want to go, or I can post assign. There are, of course, a lot of options, just like there are in Google Classroom, and a deeper training is available in a number of ways. At this time, though, I'd be remiss if I did not take a minute to show you how to meet with your students, because the Teams meetings are also a real gift that Microsoft has provided us. All right, so to host a meet, we're going to go up here and see the little arrow, meet now or schedule a meeting. It is really easy to have an impromptu meeting with whoever's available just by simply tapping meet now, but we're going to go ahead and schedule a meeting because we want to run our classroom in a very organized way. So first, I'm going to fill out a few details. Okay, I added just a few details. ELA lesson, required attendees. This will invite everyone who's in my class. Here's my date, and here's my start time, and here's my date because it's a one-day meeting, and my end time, hour and 30 minutes. I've chosen this. The default was does not repeat, but I could choose to have it every weekday. I could choose to have it daily, but I don't want it on the weekends. And in fact, I might not even do it this way because I still am not meeting with my students every single day. There is one day I'm not meeting with them. Or if you're doing cohort A and B, you're just doing it every other day. So you may want to go back up to does not repeat and then just book these separately. The notification about this will be out of the general channel in this classroom, and I can add notes about how to be prepared for this meeting and send. Now what's nice is if I go back up in here and go to the meeting itself, it'll let me choose some options. I need to find those. There they are, meeting options. And on this page, I want to make sure to make a couple of adjustments. Do I want my kids to bypass the lobby? And the lobby is basically where they wait until I show up. I do not. Nobody gets to bypass the lobby. That does mean I'll have to enter my kids from the lobby. Allows always let callers bypass the lobby. No. Announce when callers join or leave. Yes, I do like that a lot. The leaving 5 minutes into a meeting after taking attendance is something I'm kind of worried about. Who can present? To be really clear about this, who can present? Anybody can present. I don't mind that. What I do mind is that this should say who can be a presenter. Because if somebody is considered a presenter, they can stop and start recordings, and they have too much control that is not appropriate. I want to be the only one who is a presenter. So I'm going to go down and say only me, and I'll show you how to change that in case you have students that you want to show their screen. So here I can now hit save, and I've got the options I want. I'm all set up for tomorrow from 8 to 9:30. This is calendared. My kids will get a notification about that. So while I'm in my meeting, this is pretend it's tomorrow, and as the kids are showing up, I can go in and I want this child to be able to, actually she hasn't responded to me yet, but basically you'll have a list of students right here, and if I want one of them to be a presenter, I can simply tap on these ellipses and I can allow for them to be a presenter. So that is that in this Teams experience. I'm going to go ahead and stop my meeting here. So that concludes our overview of Microsoft Teams and the Teams meeting experience. And we've either whet your appetite or we have convinced you that maybe Google Classroom is for you. Either way is fine. We will support either one. Speaking of supporting, we have placed a couple of things that are handy resources inside your ClassLink, and now it's time to make sure you know that they're there. In every secondary teacher's ClassLink, you should see, first of all, this little icon. This icon was there last spring also, but it is now landing and taking you somewhere else. It's taking you to our new EdTech website. And so by tapping on this icon from your ClassLink page, it's a CVUSD Distance Classroom Resources page. It has been reconstructed and is easy to reference, easy to see what you need to find. If you simply need to drop in here and find something out about Google Meet, then you can just scroll down to the Google Meet icon, tap on that, and it'll take you directly to the Google Meet page where you'll find how to set up your DocCam, whether you're using Aver or Epson. If instead you're hoping to find information about the webinars, then the information for 1, 2, 3, the last 3 webinars that have been held are listed here. This changes each week. Obviously, we are not having them during the week of August 3rd through 7th, so that would be week 4 that you look at next, and following week 5. We're doing these daily from 1 to 2, but as school begins, we know that 1 to 2 is going to be an inconvenient time. So the times will probably change very soon, and we will continue doing them 3 days a week as long as the demand is there for them. We may eventually move to a slightly different schedule. These are webinar video storage, so if you missed a webinar and you want to pop back in and watch that, they're long, full of stuff. It's up to you. And then again, like I said, last year in the spring, we had a site that became more and more difficult to navigate because there were just so many questions. And it was our FAQ page. If you were accustomed to it, or if you're looking for something a little bit more, well, basically archived, you can tap on this, it'll take you to that page. Last but not least, From here, you can access the parent and student version of this page. To be quite honest, it is July 30th as I record this, and this is still a work in progress, but it does contain a lot of videos that include student views. And I know that's a very popular request from people working with Google Classroom for the first time. What does it look like when I place this assignment as a student? So some of those are already ready for you. Two other icons in your ClassLink right here. One is a CVUSD icon, and it gives you a bunch of information about distance teaching and our accounts, specifically the Chino Valley Unified tools and content. I will show you in just a second. This one is the Sway app that will take you into the Sway about your teacher model website and how to fix up your district website so that it is full of the information that our stakeholders who don't have access to the private classrooms can have. From my ClassLink, here is that Sway, and I showed you this earlier in a different recording, so we don't need to tap on that. And then here is Elementary EdTech reference for CVUSD. And pardon me, I misspoke. I said elementary, but this is secondary. And as we scroll through, you can see that there is essentially information about vocabulary, distance learning, Aries Communications, ClassLink, and in each one of these you have information about teacher usernames and passwords, student usernames and passwords, access outside ClassLink should you need that, potential problems, what to do about that, and support materials. So this has been posted on everybody's ClassLink. Can't say it enough, but anytime you need to reach out to us, teachers only can be using TechTrainers at chino.k12.ca.us. Please don't share this with parents. They have another way to get a hold of us. That is right down this column. Parents and students have been reaching out to us via the community support hotlines. This is the email, literally community support at chino.k12.ca.us. This phone number, extension 1080, provides them with a couple of choices, and they choose from those and get a hold of either us or a help desk. And then up here, this is the student version I showed you, the student version that has some student examples, student views, things like that, student and parent references. This is the work in process. And to be clear, no matter who you get a hold of over here at TechTrainers, even through community support, we are not providing usernames and passwords for students out of this department. They should be contacting teacher or school site to get that information. Thank you so much for your time and listening to this whole thing. It will be curated so you can watch it again and again if you need to, or we'll talk to you soon.